host with Miss Jennabelle, as always, welcome back. So we are, of course, obviously continuing our Nightmare on Elm Street franchise review with Wes Craven's New Nightmare from 1994, 10 years after the first one and whatnot. So, anyway, so this one, obviously, is going to be starring Heather Langenkamp, Robert Englund, Miko Hughes from Full House and also from Pet Sematary, been in a bunch of stuff. Wes Craven himself, Tracy Mindendorf, Sarah Risher, Bob Shea, John Saxon, and Lynn Shay, along with a slew of other people that were involved in this. So this one, like I said, was that came out in 1994, 10 years after the first one, kind of like a 10-year anniversary type thing. So this one, I gotta say, by the way, I have to dedicate this one to Brent, who used to work at Horror Pack. I know he just literally, within like a day or so of me filming this, put something on the Horror Pack movie page about, kind of like talking about this one or whatever. I know this is one of his favorites. Really enjoyed it. It, for me, is not one of my favorites, but definitely enjoy this one. I do. I like the concept. It's pretty fresh and everything. At least for the time, it was pretty fresh. I'm just saying. But anyway, so this one is kind of more like definitely reality-based, I would have to say, because it definitely revolves around the original cast and everything. And here's the thing, too. A big inspiration. I don't want to say like the main inspiration, but I know an inspiration for this film was the fact that Heather Langenkamp actually had a stalker. I want to say maybe roughly around the time of this movie, or maybe before. I'm not even 100% sure, but I know at one point she had a stalker. Influenced part of the film and everything, and Wes Craven actually did ask her if, it'd be okay to kind of include that aspect into this movie. She said, yeah, go right ahead, and I thank God he did, because it's, I feel like it did bring something more to the story, the script, Freddy himself in this and everything, so, and plus to the other actors and characters in this movie, I feel kind of gave him a little more of a dimension in this movie. So I'm just saying. I feel like one of those things too is the Julie character played by Tracy Mindendorf. Because her character is like the babysitter. We don't really know like how long she's been sort of like the nanny to Miko Hughes' character and everything. I mean, every time I watch this, I'm assuming I get the vibe that she's been sort of like the babysitter for a while and everything. But, I mean, who knows? I don't think it really even states how long she's, like, been Dylan's babysitter for. But it, like I said, it kind of feels that way. And I don't think it really is necessarily important, per se, that we know how long she's been sort of the babysitter and stuff for this family and for Dylan, Miko Hughes' character. But I know like certain things, such as with the Julie character, where I know at one point, I know like this is from the Never Sleep Again documentary, that I know that Tracy herself was kind of told from Wes, like, hey, there may be a chance that you could be sort of the killer or some sort of, like, accomplice to Freddy, but you don't really need to focus on that. Not even sure if we're going to use that. I don't even know if the rest of the cast was kind of told that. I can't quite remember. But I think that's a pretty interesting aspect, because you do sort of certain characters in this, like the head nurse at the hospital and stuff, other characters, where you kind of get a little bit of a vibe of like, do they know something? Are they kind of in on this? Plus the fact that in the movie, like I stated, that, there's this stalker and everything, so kind of, Freddy in this one is sort of the sort of social commentary of the whole stalking aspect and everything, bringing it into reality, and that would kind of make sense if, some of these characters could have been the disciples of Freddy himself and everything. Pretty interesting. I'm kind of glad they didn't fully commit to that idea, because I feel like it really would have kind of taken away from the whole story, the movie itself, and Freddy as a character, by the end and everything. But I like that they do sort of allude to it and everything. Another aspect that I kind of do like about this, and I'm not even sure if this was what Craven was kind of going for, but definitely something that I sort of pick up on with this one is kind of going back to that original idea, inspiration, I should say, about when Craven sort of got the idea for making the first Nightmare on Elm Street. I know I talked about this in my first video for this franchise, where he had read a series of articles in the LA Times about these sort of like refugees or whatnot, like these sort of like Asian sort of refugees, that these kids were dying in their sleep and everything, didn't want to fall asleep, blah, blah, blah. I kind of feel like he sort of, took that idea and then was like, well, this stuff was real. What if Freddy's sort of real and stuff? And like that whole aspect, like what if Freddy actually was the one killing these kids and everything? Kind of a crazy idea. I know it's a little far-fetched, but you guys kind of get my drift, right? You guys get it. But no, I mean, it's a decent little installment and everything. It has a lot of, token signature sort of Craven things about it, sort of social commentaries and stuff and whatnot of different things. Another sort of social commentary, especially too with like the Dylan character, who obviously, like I said, is played by Miko Hughes. Sorry, I'm so like jacked up right now. I'm not even sure. Sorry. But in the sense where, him as a little boy, because he's playing like an 8-year-old or something in this movie, or he's like between 8 and 10 or something, and a couple times has been seen watching Heather Langenkamp's Nightmare on Elm Street movie and everything, gets sort of scarred, is like terrified of it and everything. And then we see, later on when he's sort of being checked out by the doctors and stuff at the hospital, different sort of things like, oh, have you let him watch your movie and blah, blah, blah. So almost kind of sort of like, okay, well, the reason why he's the initial reason of him being sort of like jumpy and like this and that and whatnot, not due to the fact that there's been earthquakes or anything, so that kind of rails you up. No, it's gotta be the movies. It's gotta be the horror movies. We've all kind of heard that of like, oh, horror movies are gonna turn us kids into these crazy people and everything. So kind of like adding little things like that in the movie. And there's even other things too, little subtle things about little things like that about kids watching movies and the effects it has on them and everything in their psyche. So little things like that I think is a nice touch to this. And then also too, I like the notion too, and I know Craven really tried to kind of bring more of like a young child sort of aspect to this one, with things such as the stuffed toy that Dylan has, Rex, the little dinosaur and stuff, ends up kind of getting cut in like the first earthquake. And of course, Heather Langenkamp like stitches him up, or Julie stitches him up to make him all better. And that's very important because, as a kid, most of us had that one toy or whatever that was kind of our security blanket, kept the evil and like the nightmare men and like all this scary stuff away. It was kind of like our protection. And when Dylan kind of sees this dinosaur sort of, is susceptible to being injured himself, what if he ends up like going to little stuffed toy heaven or something, and he doesn't have his little protection? Like, there's stuff like that it's just a nice little touch to this. It's very charming, as my sister from another Mr. Jen would say. Little things like that I just, I love those cute little touches. Just saying. And then, of course, another thing that I really enjoy about this, and I kind of really sort of realize this time when I watched this, because like I said, there's, you know, other cast members in this and everything, like Lin Shaye and stuff, Bob Shaye and all this. Or actually, no, Bob Shaye does play himself, but someone like, you know, Lin Shaye does not play herself. She plays another character, but you have people like John Saxon, Heather Langenkamp, obviously, Robert Englund, Bob Shaye, as I just mentioned, Wes Craven, who are actually playing themselves, you know, and talking about maybe doing this another movie. But something that I love is the fact that Heather Langenkamp and John Saxon in this movie, they still almost have that sort of father-daughter bond, almost like what you were hoping that in part 3, even part 1, where they had more of that father-daughter bond and everything of you wanted them to kind of accept each other, love each other and stuff, but it didn't really work out. This one, I like that, you know, we see sort of that relationship. She kind of goes to him about different things, like advice and everything, kind of like a daughter would with a father. So, especially with like the kid aspect stuff, or, you know, with like the final, towards the end, with like, you know, shit hitting the fan and everything, she kind of, you know, calls John like, oh my god, it's happening, and, you know, he's like right there, he's like, okay, let's do that. You know, he's not like, dude, really? It's just, it's a script, like, come on, you know. No, but this one definitely deserves its props. I know it's definitely kind of almost like Halloween 3 aspect, where it's over the years, I feel like more people are appreciating this one, because I think this one back in the day, and I'm almost positive, wasn't received that well, but I definitely feel like as time has gone on, those people who are kind of like, oh, you know, didn't really like it, I think are appreciating it a little bit more now, kind of realizing the maturity of this sequel and everything. So I'm just saying. No, but, you know, this one, New Nightmare, brilliant little film. Loved it. I'm just saying. Let me know what you guys think about Wes Craven's New Nightmare in the comments. Till next time, as always, you guys, stay creepy, classy, and a little bit sassy.